Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to another video. This is WizWorks, and today we are going to do a mixed problem set that's going to teach you different tips and tricks. It's very important, I think, this video, because it's going to teach you a number of tricks that is very important to the GAT exam. And this video is related to the quantitative section, so the math section only, this video. So let's just get right into the video. Let's start with number one. Number one says -2 times -2 times -2 times -2 times -2 minus 2. So we know that negative times a negative equals a positive. We know this rule. Meaning this is going to be positive, this is going to be positive. But what is -2 minus 2? -2 minus 2 is -4. So let's solve this together. What is -2 times -2? It's 4. Again, -2 times -2 is 4. What is 4 times 4? Because if we set it up this way, we're still going to follow the rule of PEMDAS. So parentheses, exponents, multiplication or division comes first. So let's do the multiplication. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 minus 4 equals 12. So we know that the correct answer is C. Now let's move on to question number 2. So question number 2 says, if Z is even, which of these are odd? So we know that the even numbers are 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and etc. etc. There can either be plus or minus. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So we know that the variable is going to be an even number. Which one of these are odd? So we're supposed to get the result as odd. Let's try it out. So let's pick any even number and just plug it in. So 2/7. No, why? Because it's a fraction. So that's A. And A is wrong. Let's try B. B is 3 times 2 minus 2. So what is 3 times 2? 3 times 2 is 6 minus 2 is 4. That's still even. So that's a no. Let's try C. C is, let's plug it in, 2 squared. 2 squared is 4. That's still a no. So we can infer that D is the answer. But for reference, let's test it out. So it's D, or I mean 2 times 2, because that's the even number we're choosing, plus 3. So 2 times 2 is 4. And 4 plus 3 is 7. And 7 is an odd number, meaning D is our answer. Now let's move on. To number 3. So number 3 says, which of these can be written as a sum of 2 consecutive odd integers? Okay, so let's do, I guess, a little recap. So this is supposed to be odd. Let's list out just the odd numbers as the little refresher. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Excuse me, this is 9, 11, and etc. etc. Plus or minus. It can be negative or positive. So what do we do now? We're supposed to find which two consecutively, meaning consecutively means like 1 and 3, 5 and 7, or 3 and 5, just something like ورا بعض. Because they said consecutive odd numbers means the odd numbers that are consecutive. So let's put this to the test. Okay, so let's try out A. A says 44. So which two odd consecutive numbers can be written as the sum of 44? Well, we know to get 44, we can do 21 plus 23. And these are consecutive odd integers. These are consecutive odd integers. Why? Because you can see the unit digit is 1 and 3. And 1 and 3 are odd integers, meaning this can be the correct answer, or it is the correct answer. But just to show you, we're gonna keep going. So we know 1 and 3 is gonna equal 4. We know that 3 and 5 is gonna equal 8. So nothing in between is going to equal 6. Meaning 6 is not a result of two consecutive odd integers, but rather even. 64 and 64. So let's put this to the test. For C, let's try to do 31 plus 33. And 31 plus 33 equals 64. What does that mean? What does that mean? That means that this question has a defect and there are two correct answers. So typically in GAT exam there's never two correct answers, but I just wanted, I guess, to put you guys to the test and see if you guys are like focusing and not just choose the correct answer, the first correct answer you assume it is, but rather go through the steps if you're unsure. But choosing the correct answer if you've applied the work is a good strategy of time saving. So I just wanted to, I guess, trick you guys. But in the actual GAT exam, there are no two answers. No two answers. So you can only choose one answer. So keep that in mind. This was just something I wanted to do to just try and test you guys out. So let's attempt D. Let's attempt D. So let's try 7 plus 9. 7 plus 9 gives us 16, which is not 18. So let's try 9 plus 11. 9 plus 11 is going to give us 20. Means there's nothing in between that's going to give us 18, and we can cancel out D. So our correct answer is 44 and 64. But in regular cases, there are no correct answers. I want to repeat that just because I just wanted to give you guys a little brain teaser. Now, let's move on. This is the only time I'm going to give you guys two correct answers. So the rest of the video is going to be one correct answer. So don't get tripped up by that. Let's move on to number 4. So number 4 says Ali is sitting in a row. He is in the 7th place in the row. If we count from the beginning. Also, he is in the 10th place in the row. If we count from the end. How many people are sitting in the row? So, how can we go about this? How many people are sitting in the row? So, this is a very, very, very simple question. All we have to do is apply a simple rule. So simply just add 10 plus 7. 10 plus 7 is equivalent to 17. And the question is saying that Ali is sitting in the he's in the 7th place from the beginning and in the 10th place from the end. It means we have to subtract him because we counted him how many times? We counted him twice and we were only supposed to count him once. So we minus 1 and our answer is simply C. There's actually a rule that comes hand in hand with this. So this is the, I guess, formula. It's just K plus M minus 1. Honestly, I don't know, like this kind of, you can just use common sense and just infer that that he's counting himself twice and then just minus him once. So yeah, C is the correct answer, and this is the rule to apply if you need to, but I don't think it's like necessary to memorize it if you just like can use common sense. Okay, let's move on to number 5. Number 5 says, if a book chapter starts from page 32 to 66, how many pages does the book chapter have? So here's a rather simple approach, and it goes by a formula. It goes by a formula. So we notice that it includes the word from. It includes the word from. We can infer that we have to use this formula. B minus A plus 1. Why? Because it includes the word from. But not necessarily. It can be also, they can use maybe like through, stuff like that. So, just like synonyms. So, when we see this rule, we apply it to from. And there's another rule that you can apply to the word between. Between is B minus A minus 1. So, since we noticed that it's from, we can simply just, we have to identify the B and the A. So this is B, so 66 minus A, 32. And then you add 1. This is just simply what you have to do. So let's just, I guess, solve this problem now. Okay, so 66 minus 32 is 34. And you have to add 1, so your answer is going to be 35. Simply, this is just how you solve it. And the answer is B. Okay, now let's move on to number 6. So, as I told you, we noticed the number between. We noticed the word between, right? So we assume that we need to apply this rule. Pretty simple, like this is pretty simple stuff. So this is B, this is A. So 131 minus 87, and then you minus the answer by 1. So what is 131 minus 87? It is 44. And what's 44 minus 1? Simply 43. So our answer here is A. Let's move on to number 7. So, number 7 says x minus 4 to the radical of 3 divided by 4 to the radical of 3 minus x. I want to teach you a basic number property. There are a number of basic number properties you should know for the GAT exam. But in order to solve this one, I have to teach you one of them. And the rule is pretty simple. Rule is A minus B over B minus A always equals -1, because A is never equal to B. So this is pretty simple. So let's apply what we just learned. A minus B. We notice that these are just inverses, kind of like this is A and this is B, and then this is B and this is A. And we see that there is a subtraction action happening, meaning that we can automatically apply this rule and know that the answer is -1. So the answer is simply D. This is just a simple rule, so if you know this, you're going to automatically know the answer without just like looking scared to do this. Now let's move on to question number 8. Question number 8 says compare the two values. So value A is x minus 3 squared, and value B is -3. So we have to see the choices says value A is greater, the two values are equal, the value B is greater, or there's simply insufficient information. First, let's look at what we have here. We already know that value A is greater. Why is value A greater? Why is this greater? Because we know that any negative times a negative equals positive, and this is simply a negative number, so we know positive is greater than negative. So we don't even have to do the work like, oh, -3 times -3 because it's squared, and then it's going to be +9, so it's going to be x plus 9, and we know that value A now is greater. Now let's move on to question number 9. Question number 9. This is very easy. I think people sometimes get tripped up by it, but I just feel like this is mostly one of the easiest questions that are in the GAT exam. So let's just get right into it. It says, if x over y is equivalent to find x plus 8y divided by y. So we know that now. We know that 5 or any number is the same as 5 over 1, right? Any number. 8 is the same as 8 over 1. You can write it as 8 over 1 if you want, but nobody really does that because it's just the same. They equal the same thing. So, with that being said, let us put over 1. We can simply now just do plugging the values. So 5, since it's for x, plus 8, and then times 1 over 1. So what is 5 plus 8? 5 plus 8 is equal to 13 times 1 is 13 over 1. We know it's the same as 13. So we now know that our answer is D. Our answer is D. This was very simple because we just put over 1 and we know now that x equals 5 and y equals 1. And we can simply plug those back in and solve this algebraically. Let's move on. So number 10. It says 4 times 5,462 times 25 equals what? Now, you can sit and just solve this, but this is a massive waste of time, and I want to teach you just a simple tricks. It's this lesson, I guess, is called hidden zeros, if you will. Hidden zeros. Now, let's give you a little overview of the hidden zeros. What is 2 times 5? We know that 2 times 5 is 10. And what is 4 times 25? 4 times 25 equals 100. What is 8 times 125? We know that it equals 1,000. So, all we need to do, you can, I guess, memorize this if you want, because I feel like this is reoccurring, maybe. All you have to do now is first observe and notice that there is a 4 here, and there is a 25 here. Meaning, all you have to do is look at the value over here, rewrite it, so it's gonna be equal to 5,462. I don't know where this dot came from, but just ignore it. So there's no decimal here. And since it's 4 times 25, we simply add 2 zeros. So 1, 2. And we notice that the answer is C. Why? Because simple questions like this just include like a little bit of tricks that is going to make it way easier for you to find the product rather than going through the hassle and just doing all the work. I think the hidden zeros trick is very helpful and very beneficial. And this could make a great deal in your exam. So it's simply C. We can move on. Number 11 says compare the two values. Okay, so I want you to remember the hidden zeros mini lesson I just taught you and kind of apply it here. I want you to pause the video and attempt to apply it. Okay, so value, I hope you attempted, I hope you tried at least. So value A is 4 to the power of 125 and value B is 3 to the power of 1,000. And now let's try to rewrite rewrite what we know. So we know this that I just told you, and 8 times 5 is equal to 1,000, or yeah. So with that being said, we can simply notice that there is a 125 here. And in order to compare two values, we need to have something in common, something similar to be able to compare. So, and we notice that there's 1,000 here, and we know that 1,000 is the product of 8 times 125. So what we can simply do to make them alike, we know that this, like this, we know that this is the thing. So it's 3. We can do this. We can say 3 to the power of 8 and then to the power of 125. Why? So we can make them alike, so we can compare them somehow. And now we automatically know that powering 3 by 8 and then powering it again by 125 is going to give you a much greater value than value A. So now we automatically know that the answer is C because value B is greater than value A. This is greater than. Maybe I should change the color. Greater than. Okay. Let's move on to question number 12. Guys, we're almost done, so just bear with me. So the question says, how many prime numbers are less than 37? And we know that a prime number is a positive integer greater than 1, that its factors is only 1 and itself. So with that being said, let's try to find the prime numbers less than 37. So you should know at least the first 4 to 5 from the top of your head. So they are 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19. Let's try to find the rest, which are 23, 29, 31, and 37, but we do not include it because what did we say? We said less than 37. So all we have to do is simply count how many there are. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So there are 11 digits that are less than 37. And now, now that I did this problem with you guys, I noticed that I made a mistake in the problem solution, in the choices. So D was supposed to be 11, and our answer is supposed to be D, which is 11. So let's. Before I move on, I want to teach you a little bit of, I guess, factual information or tricks about prime numbers. So we know that there are like infinitely many prime numbers, and let me tell you a little facts. So before, let me change the color just so you know that we're talking about the same topic but like different appliance. So 2 is the only even prime number. We know that 2 is the only even prime number. So when we think of that, now we can cancel all the other prime numbers, so we can find our other prime numbers easily. And we know that 101 is a prime number. This is hard to usually find, so just memorize that 101 is a prime number. 91 is not a prime number. I feel like a lot of people get this mixed up, but you should just know that 91 is not a prime number. Just have these, I think, memorized, and they will greatly help you in the future. Now let's move on to question number 13 and change back the color to blue just for, you know. Number 13 says 6 to the power of 11 plus 6 to the power of 10 divided by 7. So this is one of the other basic number properties or rules. So let me, I guess, just give a mini lesson. So this is a basic number property. And what is the property here? It's the distributive property. It's the distributive property. And what's the formula, I guess, for the distributive property, or something you can think back to? We can say Y times a plus y times b is equal to y, y and then times a plus b. It's the same thing, because you can say y times b and y times a and y times b. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So now let's apply this basic property to our question. What we have to do is simply use this rule. So how do we do that? We simply just apply this rule. So 6 to the power of 10, and then do the distributive property parentheses, and then 6 to the power of 1 plus 1 over 7. It's the same thing as saying 6 to the power of 10, and then 6 to the power of 1 is basically just 6. So what's 6 plus 1? 6 plus 1 we know is 7, so we're multiplying it by 7 because there's a parentheses and we're doing a multiplication, and then it's still over 7. All we have to do is just simply divide 7 by 7, which is 1, and it cancels out, and then you're left with 6 to the power of 10, which is our answer. Oh my god, and I did another mistake. Guys, I did another mistake. I meant to say one of them is 6 to the power of 10. And our answer is C. Why? I don't know why I made so many mistakes in this one, but I knew that I meant to put 6 to the power of 10 because I put 6 to the power of 11 twice. Now let's move on to question number 14. 2 more problem, guys. We can do this. We can do this. Okay. This one is so simple. Okay. So compare the two values. Value A and value B. Value A is B minus C over C minus B. Guys, I taught you this rule earlier in the video. What did we say? What did we say about this? We said B minus C, or the way I taught you was A minus B, but it's the same thing, over C minus B is the same thing as saying -1 because B does not equal C. So what does this mean? This means that this is the same thing as -1, and this is -1, meaning the two values are equal, meaning that our answer is B. Guys, we didn't even have to like think for this problem if you have this memorized. Now let's move on to our 15th and final problem for the day. I'm so proud of you guys. Like, we did it, and just congratulate yourself and give yourself a pat on the back. So it says, which digit is in the ones place of 786 to the power of 87? Literally, like, all you have to do is look at the ones place. But before I even say this, I'm gonna give you, I guess, another mini lesson. Just introduce you, I guess, to the ones place lesson. So we should know that every integer that either has 0, 1, 5, or 6, when we rise any positive integer power, the ones do not change. So what does this mean? This means that we have a positive integer right here. That means that the digits ones place is what? It's 6. It does not change. That means our answer is simply C. This one was pretty simple. What did you guys think? I think this rule, it just applies to 0, 1, and 5. And I feel like if you just have this memorized from the top of your head, you will do very well. And it only applies when it has positive integer exponents. Positive integers and the exponents are positive as well. So I'm so proud of you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and practicing with me for the GAT qudrat exam. This is WizWorks, and see you in the next video.